All right, awesome. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are doing very well. How was our week? Hope it wasn't too stressful. Hope it wasn't too stressful. So, thank you everyone for joining. My name is Yano Lua from Use and Tech, and I will be starting off this meeting today. Before I hand over to our experts, our GRC experts, privacy, experts, and in the house. But briefly, for those who are joining us for the first time and do not know about Use and Tech, I would like to do a brief introduction about us. So, Youth and Tech is a platform dedicated to closing the gender gap between women and technology. We offer several non coding courses such as business analysis, data analytics, data governance, GRC that we're about to start, cybersecurity, product design, webflow, and a host of other ones. So, about our founder, she started her career in tech over 10 years now, and she never touched the line of code. And after she witnessed this, she knew that, oh, she needed to do something about this just to take that fear away and to see how many women will be able to come off that technophobia and, you know, innovate a lot of things in the tech space. So she between women and technology, she watched families lose their jobs to digitization and decided to do something about it in 2020. And we've been in operation since 2020, and we are a remote-based company. We are a remote-based company, that is, we operate basically remotely. So this has been happening since then, and they've been able to apply for quality jobs, and the result has been phenomenal. We are fully online and we have trained from over 25 countries. This has been made possible by the virtue of hands-on training and quality of facilitators that we have at Hills and Tech. I can say and I can beat my chest that we have one of the best facilitators at Hills and Tech, right? And this has helped us to be able to train students from across the world, from different backgrounds, stay-home moms, undergraduates, lawyers, medical doctors, and accountants, and a host of other women and men as well. So by 2030, our aim is that we would have trained over 100 million African women through paid and free sessions such as this. So these free sessions, they are also part of our plan that would have passed knowledge, across, because there are some people who use just these free webinar sessions to gain knowledge and to add it to what they already know, and also apply for jobs. So she is an author. She authored Jasmine Discovers Tech for young girls, and we've also been sharing that to schools. So here is where our students work. I mean, some of the places that we know for now, we are still updating, and by the time we are done, we are going to update that too, and put it out there. So today we are having our webinar on governance, risk, and compliance. With our experts, we have Mr. Oludare Olorunfemi, who is a privacy expert. We also have Dr. Ina Dozie. Yes, I believe that should be the pronunciation. Doctor, please, if I not pronounce it well, I beg, no vex. And then we have Mr. Shegun. We have Mr. Shegun as well in the house. Thank you, Mr. Shegun, for joining. And I also have my team member here, Christiana. She's joining with the Bella line. So welcome everybody. I'm going to hand over now to um Coach. Who should I hand over to? Yourself? Okay. All right. So I'm just going to. Should I make you the host, sir?
Okay.
No, sorry, make me
Okay,
the
Coach.
host.
Okay. Doctor, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year, Nadia. Happy New Year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Good. Have you made me the host?
I would will give you the permission to share your screen in a minute. So everyone, good to see you. And we all welcome before we
Yes,
introduce
I am made
ourselves.
host now.
Hello.
You are the host now, so I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we all welcome once again. And before we go into our session for today, it will be great for us to all get to know ourselves. So please, could you just tell us on the chat? My name is Oludare. Could you just tell us on the chat where you're logging in from so that we get to know ourselves even before we go proper into the business of today? Just to mention, I from wherever you are joining us. Thank you, Adeyinka from Lagos. Let's get to know ourselves, guys, so that before we kick into the program proper. Okay, Ada, Sarah from Lagos, David from Preston. Please, let's quickly make that on. Tracy Luxembourg, thank you. Mercy from Benue. Let's get it going, guys. We don't have time so that our coach can start the work. Adimola, Lagos. Yes. Asa joining from Lagos, Doing from Lagos. Great. Keep it coming, guys. Where are the rest? Let's just do that. And yes, great. Gbemi from Lagos. Fumi from Lagos. Barakat, Lagos. Thank you. Faith Sakot, Mwando from the UK. Thank you. So, it's great to see you all from diverse places. My name is Oludare, as I've said, and I'm currently in the Republic of Ireland. And my co-facilitators today, who will be the presenters, they too are logging in their ear from the United Kingdom, and we will all be working to share things with us today. Yes, Gisola from Ontario, fantastic. Okay. So please, let's make it interactive as much as possible today. We've introduced ourselves where we are from the coaches. They would introduce us one by one, and then we will kick off with what we've got to do today. Just one thing, make it interactive as much as possible, everyone. Feel free to ask questions. The chat is there. So coaches, please put an eye on the chat as well in case we have any questions that anyone may have. Mute your microphone to ensure that it doesn't disrupt the class so that we can have a very smooth session today. And also, one more thing, don't be afraid to ask any question. No question is foolish. It is only because the person doesn't know. So we welcome questions from people so that you can say, yeah, this is the question I have, and in that way. Thank you very much. Without taking much of our time, I invite our coach, Coach and Dr. Nadoze to take over the floor. He will start everything. Okay, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We call you Prof because of your very vast experience and endeavor in this field and others. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Fantastic. And you can see my screen as well?
Yes, please.
Brilliant. Wonderful. So welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be going into the GRC Awareness Webinar. It is a pathway to a thriving career in governance, risk, and compliance. That is the meaning of GRC. The presenters today will be myself, Nadaziro Sakwe. I'll also have Olusegun Ale on the call. It will be mainly myself and Olusegun going through this. And we have Oludare as well, who will interject every now and again. We're going to present this kind of like a panel. So it will be discussions between myself and Olusegun, basically delivering today's webinar and having a chat on certain issues and stuff. And at the end of the webinar, you guys can come in and ask questions just so that we keep the flow. Right, so my name is Nadaziro Sakwa, as I mentioned. I've got a PhD. My background was in biotechnology, and then I moved into data protection, where I got certifications. I also got certifications in information security and digital marketing, and I'm a Scrum Master as well. You know, that might sound like a lot, but wait till you hear from Oludare. However, I've also worked in a vast number of industries, ranging from social housing to finance, and logistics, education, quite a lot of them. Sorry, I'm not going to go into everything, but I've had the opportunity through these job roles where I've worked as an information security manager, I've worked as a data protection consultant, a manager and analyst. I've worked as a scrum master and a digital marketing expert, with emphasis on cookie implementation and consulting. And so I've got a good grasp of GRC in some of these roles. I've functioned within the GRC department, so to speak. I will let Olusegun go first before we go to Olusegun to introduce himself as well.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Olusegun.
Are you tired?
I'm super happy to be here. It seems someone is distracting us. Do we have
Dorcas, please mute yourself. And please, everyone, it's your responsibility when you come to a public webinar to manage your microphone. We don't want to call out your name in a public place like this, anyone. It's one of our responsibility. Everyone wants to work in a digital economy, but please mind your microphone. We won't mute everybody because we want you to be able to interact with us and ask questions. But please let everybody mind their microphone. Thank you. Over to you. Apologies.
Thank you. I think we need a ground rule, so whoever is distracting the class will buy lunch for us. So agency, please, let's hope you have the account number and consent to do that. All right, my name is Olusegun, like I said earlier, and currently I've been doing privacy compliance that cut across different regions, from China to LATAM to North America, Canada, and even the UK. I've always been a compliance person because I have experience in the internal control. I think that's how I started my career. I started as an auditor. I'm also a chartered accountant from Nigeria, so to say. And I've been an internal control person. I've worked in finance. I've worked in tax audit. I'm in media now, and also helping to ensure compliance. I love what I do because at the end of the year, I might be able to tell my manager, I've been able to save you a lot of fines and embarrassment from regulators around the world, and I think I deserve a raise for that because I could do that because I love what I do. I've been doing this for quite a number of years. Just like coach in Andoze, I don't code, but I manage those that code because I tell them what to do because I understand what the regulations are saying, and then I have been able to bridge the gap between the regulations and operations so that people can know how to move forward in compliance. Today's webinar is just about you to see that being a GRC person is the coolest thing now for you, and you're in the right place. And I think that'll be all for me for now. Coach, over to you.
Thank you very much, Olusegun. Such a rich career and a happy one as well. May I call on Oludare to give us a little brief about his experience and accreditations? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadoze and Olusegun, my fellow colleagues. Great to have you all on this panel. And everyone in the house, it's my pleasure to be with us. My name, as I've said, is Oludare Olorunfemi. And I usually say I'm a man of many parts because I've been across different fields, from banking to telecommunication to education to systems, infrastructure, management. I've worked in various places, and I've done one thing that I have passion for is passing knowledge, transferring knowledge, and developing talents. That's one thing I do mostly, which I enjoy, providing organization with training and workforce development, whereby people that want to transition to tech, people that want to transition to new skills, working with them, and I run a digital hub that help with work experience. And that's one thing that we operate globally in different domains, in Africa, in the UK, in the EU, Canada, and the US. We have candidates all over who are trying to transition to tech because they have studied whatever from any institution, but they don't have work experience. And so even in partnership with HNT, we're working to develop people having practical knowledge about what they do so that they can not only have the head knowledge, because in different parts of the world, we see people with head knowledge. And so recruiters are not looking for head knowledge. They're looking for someone that can do. And so I'm very passionate about practical hands-on skills. That's about me. You can see my certification. It's just to show that I'm a person that is into information privacy, cybersecurity, agile Scrum training and practices. And I've worked in various areas, like I said. So the rich experience comes into bear when we are looking at GRC as well. So today, we're looking forward to getting from these resourceful individuals. So let's be attentive. Let's be willing to ask questions because we want to encourage you to develop a career in governance, risk, and compliance. It's the underbelly of cybersecurity. It's the aspect that people that, a lot of people say I'm not very techy. So it's the area that if you are not very techy, but you can follow rules and regulation, is the one that could say, look, this is what the rule says. Are you complying? Are you not complying? So if you have mindset to be able to keep the rules, to tell people how to follow the standards that is laid down, GRC is great for you. It's not very technical. You won't do a lot of coding things there, no. You won't do a lot of mathematical things there, no. But you have a lot of things that will be about, you want to maintain orderliness in the organization. Who does what? Who should do this? Is the person doing it? That is what we're going here to study today. So over to you, coaches. Thank you very much for the rich introduction. So guys, and we've known where you all logged in from. So we know we are all scattered across different continents. So let's keep the ball rolling. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ludari, for that introduction and engaging us with what the course we're about to study entails, and the fact that the course is going to be filled with practical experience, training, and the like. So with that, I will say again, welcome to this GRC Awareness webinar. We are going to explore how governance, risk, and compliance are shaping today's business landscape. In whatever field that you may be working on, there is a GRC element within that function that you do, or within that service that you provide. So whether you're considering a career in GRC itself or looking to enhance your expertise in different areas, this session will provide valuable insights. It will provide career opportunities and practical steps to succeed in the field. You're not going to get all of it in this webinar, but there's a 12-week course coming after it, which we will encourage you to join. So speaking, governance, risk, and compliance, which is GRC, you will hear GRC a lot, is governance, risk, and compliance. They are not just regulatory requirements. They are strategic enablers that help businesses navigate uncertainty and maintain integrity. These are important things that every business needs. You're not just selling the service that you sell, which is good. That's the reason you're in business, to sell that service. But there is a lot of integrity that needs to be maintained. There's cyber criminals out there. There's dangers on the road that you need to mitigate against. There's also business uncertainty, things like regulations and stuff which continue to change. You have to meet with these regulations. You have to pay your taxes. You have to adhere to rules. You have to adhere to government laws and all of those things. There's a whole minefield of different things that a company needs to take care of. And GRC is the enabler, is a tool within which you combine all these practices and bring them to the fore using them to ensure that your business is floating properly. So by the end of this webinar, you will understand the core principles of GRC, the most in-demand roles, and how to position yourself for success in the field. So let's get started. I'm going to start by looking at what GRC really is. So what is GRC? Let's understand it. Governance, risk, and compliance, which is commonly known as GRC, as I've said already, is the backbone of responsible business management. Everybody sort of put that phrase into your brain. Responsible business management. Governance within this role provides the structure and the policies to ensure ethical and effective leadership. You need a structure. You're running a business, it needs a structure. This is how we do things. These are the policies that we operate with. These are the ethics that we know. Risk management, on the other hand, helps organizations identify and mitigate those uncertainties that we spoke about originally, which could impact your objectives. Right? So, we're going to have early lunch today. Somebody's already offering us that lunch. Yeah, okay. Let's carry on. So I was talking about risk management. Risk management helps us to identify and mitigate uncertainties that could impact on our business and our objectives. Finally, compliance ensures adherence to laws, regulations, and industry standards. It also protects us from legal and financial repercussions. So, as you know, every time that you break a law or a regulation, you might receive a fine. Sometimes these fines are really huge. In jurisdictions like the GDPR, fines could even run into 20 million euros per annum. That's a lot of money. So if you haven't got that sort of money to share around, please make sure that you adhere to your regulations, adhere to your standards, adhere to your laws, and stuff like that.
What is it?
If it is difficult for you to do that, set up a GRC.
Please don't interrupt the class, guys. Sophie, please mute yourself. Coach Nadozie, you can make me a host so that I can help you to mute those interrupting the class. Thank you.
Right. Will I still be able to do my presentation?
Yes, please.
Make you host. Okay. Let's carry on. So by integrating these three elements of governance, risk, and compliance, businesses will not only be able to safeguard their reputation. Reputation is important. I didn't mention it originally. You'll be able to safeguard your reputation, but also optimize decision-making and operational resilience. GRC is no longer a nice to have. For those of you who have been into project management, where you've got your must-have prioritization, must have, could have, and should have. I think the nice to haves are in the could haves, isn't it? So GRC is not in that could have. It's not at the bottom of your must-have prioritization. It is a business necessity in today's regulatory landscape. There's so many regulations that you have to navigate. So many, it's unbelievable. Sometimes if you're not actually in those fields, you will not realize what your gatekeepers are doing in cybersecurity, in GRC, and in compliance in these roles. You will not understand what the gatekeeping that they're doing. You're just probably delivering the niche service that you deliver in your role. So GRC is your gatekeeper, and it is not a nice to have, it is a must have. So I'm going to call on my colleague, Olusegun. Can you take us through why GRC matters? Give us a little bit insights on this.
Thank you, Doctor. Just like you said earlier, the GRC is not good to have, is a must to have, because as we all know, governance helps to provide direction in terms of leadership direction. And the leaders think about strategic things. But there are things that are very important, which is why it has to do with compliance. Because compliance is not an expense. It's not an expenditure that you just want to incur because we just have to. Compliance is now an investment because when you invest in compliance, you are helping to build your brand. You're telling your partners that they can trust you. You understand that you are more reliable, and you are also taking initiative to protect your organizations. So back to our slide, why GRC matters. Why GRC is critical in today's world, we'll look at you have to protect your organization. Your organization is what you are offering, is the value you are offering. You need to protect it. Even individual. I want your response in the chat. Do we have anybody here that does not have a screen lock on their phone? Do we have anybody here that does not have a screen lock on their phone?
I don't.
Just type yes or no. Don't worry, just type yes or no.
I don't have a
Some
screen lock.
you don't have.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you protect your details and your WhatsApp and all that? All right, but you have ATM card. So how do you use your PIN? How do you protect your valuables? Almost everybody, I can say 95 or 97% of us protect our phones, protect our valuables and our assets. So as a GRC professionals, why are we doing this? We want to secure our organizations, safeguarding assets, reputations, and also stakeholders' trust. If you are giving your data to your bank and you woke up tomorrow, you're seeing your bank balance on social media, on Instagram, and say, oh, this person has just 20,000, this person has just millions in their account, you feel embarrassed. And that means you cannot trust your bank. So what you're doing is very important. You are helping the organization to protect assets. And that's why the need for a paradigm shift that, oh, compliance is not expenditure, is an investment into our future. It's about us safeguarding our assets. It's about us enhancing and building our reputation for always delivering value and also ensuring compliance. And also, I've seen organizations where they lose contract because their partners could not trust them, even when the contract has been signed. So GRC matters by ensuring organizations are protected. Driving business value. Enabling informed decision-making, optimizing resource allocation, and fostering innovation. There are different ways we can comply to privacy regulations. There are different ways we can comply to AML rules and regulations. And how do you even demonstrate compliance? Is by documentation. Oh, we have been certified by ISO 27001 that our process is in line with international standards. Oh, we have done this. There's some website that you go, if you don't see some things that you will know this is dodgy. And you don't want to go into a business relationship with people thinking, oh, you cannot be trusted. But when you have everything, for example, even personally, when you have a clean, clear desktop policy where papers are well arranged, you even have a shredding machine like I have one here in my office, it shows you are organized. It shows even if there's anyone that walks into your space, they can never make it the way you have been making it. And you do not waste resources because you'll be able to allocate resources to the right unit that requires it. So GRC matters in this area. And also ensuring sustainability is, you've seen organizations around the world that have stand the test of times. They've been over 100 years, they've been available. What are they doing right? For example, look at Coca-Cola. Look at Warner Brothers. Look at Johnny Walker. Look at Honda. Look at Toyota. Look at Ford. These are companies that have spanned generations. Of course, they don't always make profits all the years, but because they've built resilient and they are a responsible organization that adapts to change. They do business in different parts of the world. And they have to comply to both local regulation and international law. But because they got their GRC right, you've seen a lot of organizations that have collapsed, but you can still see organizations that have spent over 100 years. What are they doing right? That means they didn't make profit. There's this normal saying that said, oh, chop and quench. You know, there are a lot of companies like that. But we have companies that even before they issue out loans, they do due diligence, they do proper KYC, and they even invest in business they believe in, not just giving out money. I'm sure all of us here, we are close to 30. Let me see. Yeah, we're 32. I'm sure we can name up to 5 companies that have collapsed in the last couple of years. What kills this company? Look at what happened to Enron that brought about Sarbanes-Oxley law, SOX law in the US. It's all about governance. And that is what GRC does. As a professional, you're actually the knight in shining armor, trying to protect and ensure that, oh, if you make 1 million today and you lose it to GDPR fine that can be as high as 20 million euros, does it matter? I can give you an example. In my organization, a few years ago, we received a letter from the AG's office in California, and somebody did not pass it on to the right person to handle the letter. After about 4 weeks, they sent a reminder. Nobody picked it up. Nobody. Everybody was just doing their business. Of course, people were busy, but they were busy doing the wrong things. And after 2 months, there was a sanction of $1 million US. Who's going to pay? What happened? And the question we're asking ourselves is, where did we get it wrong? So if you cannot manage just putting the right document to the right person to undo, do you mean you what being in this organization? Do you mean you can do this? It's about trying to do the right thing, even when stakeholders doesn't seem to care, but you have to keep telling them. Imagine losing 1 million to fine after profit. You have to make provision for that. And that's why it matters. Everybody makes, as a matter of fact, GRC is a priority to everyone in every organization because it's about doing the right thing. It's about ensuring we have documentation in place. It's about engaging our stakeholders. It's about building trust and resilience in our system. I talk about regulations. The last one here is about ensuring sustainable regulations. If you look around the world, there are different laws. We have accounting law, we have IFRS, we have IAS, we have GDPR in Europe, we have LGPD in Brazil, we have PIPL in China. In US, about 15 states have their privacy policy active now. And you have to comply. How do you ensure you comply to this? And that is when you sit back and realize that, oh, compliance is actually part of the business. And how am I going to do that? It's about ensuring compliance to do the right thing. I will call on Doctor to take on the next slide on why we need to choose a career in GRC. Now that we understand why GRC is important, the next thing is it important for me to decide this is what I would like to do? What is my fear? Do I have this fear? Doctor, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Olusegun, for that. So guys, why choose a career in GRC? There is a world of opportunities. So as Olusegun has mentioned, why GRC? Why does it matter? What's in it? We've just seen that it enables us to protect an organization. That protection is key. It's very important. Do you want to be somebody who is going to be protecting organizations? Probably so. For instance, I started off as, or let me say, I was once working as a project manager in a housing organization. And that means that they had a lot of residents, over 15,000 residents that this organization was housing by virtue also of the local authorities that they operate in. So the stakeholders I had then was the local authorities within which we had these properties, and of course the tenants themselves, 15,000 of them. That's a huge number. Of course, also the buildings, the structural buildings were part of that operation. So as part of my management responsibilities, I had to visit many of these properties and speak to the residents, understand where their pain points were, and try to deliver solutions. Most of the time, I also found that a lot of the residents or the tenants were not obeying our policies. They were not following our regulations. Some of them were damaging the buildings or the properties within which they lived, allowing mold and damp to build up because of their practices that were not sufficient, that sort of thing. And I recognized that there was a gap between how we manage residents adhering to our policies and how we deliver these policies and monitor them, etc. So that gap meant that we were always having a lot of our properties going to disrepair, and we were then blamed for it. Tenants would say, "Oh, there's damp and mold in this property. It's causing me illness. It's causing this and that," and the housing association would pay compensation when these guys go to court, simply because we hadn't done our due diligence. We had not done our checks, balances, and operations and monitoring, protecting the organization's assets. We didn't do it properly. We didn't have a structure that allowed us to maintain those disciplines and ensure that our properties or that our residents were doing the right thing within our properties. We didn't even have the proper policies. And that's what drove me into compliance, because I was out there in the front line, seeing the damage happen right in front of me and having no tools whatsoever to delve in. I started to study compliance, and I ran into data protection. And of course, policy writing and procedure creation and all of that. And suddenly I was a GRC expert. So, what is going to motivate you? Why choose a career in GRC? So a career in governance, risk, and compliance offers incredible stability, because there's always going to be those properties, if you're into property, there's always going to be that asset to look after, to sustain. Olusegun told us about companies like Enron, big, huge, responsible organization, responsible in the sense that they had absolutely critical stakeholders and a very, very critical function to the general community and to their customers. But because of that lack of due diligence and the lack of structure and the lack of ethics, or the erosion of the same, the company fell apart. A huge giant fell apart, fell to the dust. So those are opportunities for motivation. These are things that can motivate you. I want to sustain this company. I want to help and build these assets and sustain them. So these roles will bring you also financial rewards and diverse opportunities. When we talk about GRC, it's not a single field. I know we call it GRC, but it's an amalgamation of related fields, which all point to one thing: responsible business management. Making sure that the business stands, the business remains, the business continues to provide its service, the business does not fall. And if that is the case, there's so many ways you can come into it. You can come in as a cybersecurity expert, keeping that gateway. You can come in as a compliance analyst, making sure that we are navigating the regulations. You can come into it as a data protection analyst, consultant, manager, or as the case may be. You are making impact in those different areas. Today, businesses are facing increased regulatory pressures, hugely increased pressures. The fines that are coming out are enormous. Back in early 2000s, I remember certain businesses who would just keep aside something like, and I'm talking about the UK specifically. The US is still yet to catch up, to be honest. There's certain companies that would keep aside about £500,000, but you can manage. Imagine the Enrons, because we've started talking about Enron. I'm going to keep them on. So imagine a business like Enron, who have vast assets and resources and money and service businesses and all of that. You know, £500,000 or whatever is a drop in the ocean. It's a small amount of money. It's like something you put in your pocket and go down the street. They'll just keep that money aside. And if there's any compliance issue, all they needed to pay was $500,000 if they were guilty. Pounds, sorry. Because this was a European law. I know Enron was a US company, but they operated in England as well. So what then happened is that Europe got together and said that this is enough is enough. We are trampling on the rights of people. Data protection is a human right. It's not just a discipline. It is a human right. And we're going to uphold that. And so they built the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which is today the most formidable data protection regulation worldwide. Everybody else is copying that template. So they created that and they said, okay, for any infringements, you know, the highest fines that you're going to get is 20 million euros. That is significant. That might get people to wink or remove their glasses and look close and say, hey, you know, I really don't want to be paying this amount of money. It made a lot of difference. It made a lot of difference. Some people are still careless, but they're having to dish out. Google, for instance, has paid fines across Europe, you know, huge fines, millions of euros here and there. It's biting them. It's not something anybody wants to carry on doing. Sorry, I'm just going to mute somebody. Yeah, so the demand for skilled GRC professionals is now higher than ever because of some of these pressures. Organizations across industries, including finance, healthcare, technology, everybody is seeking experts to ensure that compliance and that risk is managed. And they also want to uphold governance standards. Like we mentioned originally, governance standards include your policies, your procedures, and those sort of things, and your standards that you operate with. Many companies don't operate with policies, none whatsoever. You know, and when I tell you the good, I also tell you the bad news. I lost a job, a very lovely job, after about 2 months into the job. Why? Because of a policy violation. Because of a policy violation. Some people said it was very harsh. Oh, why did they do this to you? Why didn't they do? But being a compliance person, it was the right thing for that company to do. What exactly did I do? It wasn't anything terrible, but I took a laptop belonging to the company. You know, these days we do remote work. I took their laptop and traveled outside the country. I thought it was all right. I didn't have any problem with that. I didn't have any bad intentions. I just carried on my work because I had to travel. So I just picked up my laptop and everything, went abroad. Meeting started, I joined the meeting. And in the process of the meeting, I said, oh, guys, you know, I'm in the US, blah, 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 blah. The time is different. So it's 4 a.m. here whilst we're talking. So bear with me, there's family moving around. And after the meeting, the manager called me. In fact, somebody from HR called me and said that there was a policy violation and they wanted to drag me into a meeting. I came back to the UK a couple of days later, went into the meeting, and I was dismissed immediately, citing policy violation. You may not take the company's assets outside of your jurisdiction of practice without due permission. There was a whole big policy about it under the responsible use of assets regulation or policy or something like that. And the consequence of that violation, as written in that policy, was dismissal. So I lost my job. And as harsh as it sounds, but this is the way that particular company, I'm not going to name them so that nobody goes to throw stones and tomatoes on their windows. They're everywhere, global company. But that's how they've not become Enron. It's one of our household names today, but they have not become Enron because of the very, very disciplined process with which they keep their regulations. So beyond job security, GRC careers offer strong earning potential. You know, I've said there's a high demand. You know, salaries are competitive. Professionals can start as analyst, you can be a GRC analyst and move into executive roles. So there's opportunities to expand and to grow. So, you know, things like chief risk officer, you can become a chief risk officer or a chief compliance officer. The variety of career paths also means that you can speculate or specialize in cybersecurity, in data protection and privacy, or even in environmental compliance, ESG. You know, I'm sure some of you would have heard today about things like carbon zero policies. You know, there've been conferences all over the world. Some companies take it very seriously, others do not. Some have put out some money for it, huge amounts of money. In a lot of companies that I've worked in recently, that there's a huge clamor for it, a really, really huge clamor. You would not believe what is happening under the hood. There's an entire whole big career out there in these areas, and it's something that is of use. It's important for society for us to think about our tomorrow. You know, what happens if we just continue to burn these carbon fossils and, you know, pollute the air, pollute the world that we live in? You know, all these. I've even heard it said that some of this global warming can result in the tsunamis that we get, the hurricanes that we see every now and again, and all these climate changes and stuff. You know, what is the world going to look like in 100 years? I know some of us are not going to be there then, but, you know, hopefully a few of us are still around in 100 years. You know, what's the world going to look like? Maybe no trees, no leaves, everywhere is cold, or everywhere is hot. We might be in another funny age. So there are certain people, and the discipline of GRC is responsible for this. There are certain people who are looking after our world. Maybe that is something that might motivate you into choosing a career in GRC. So for anyone looking for a dynamic, rewarding, impactful profession, like some of the things I've mentioned, GRC is the perfect choice. You've got vast opportunities for advancement. You've got sustainable income, and you've got the versatility to decide. You know, when you've looked at our first slide where we are talking about, you know, I have this certification. Ludare has about 20 certifications, maybe more. He's only just given us a small list so that you can get into these slides. You know, you'll probably be thinking to yourself, well, what are these guys doing with all these certifications and just jumping up and down and all over the place? The reason is because of the versatility that GRC offers us. We are actually GRC experts, you know, providing different types of disciplines, getting motivated for one thing and then finding motivation for another thing. All of it geared towards protecting the organization, protecting the reputation of the organization. That's what we do. That's what we love to do. And I think, you know, I love some of you can try these things as well. Ludari, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been trying to raise my hand so that I can contribute something in between. So guys, two things. As we've seen the importance of GRC, there's a little exercise I just want to engage us. One thing, when you mentioned Aaron, unless you see the figures and the impact, it might look as if this is just an ordinary thing that happened, guys. Do you know that Aaron, because of accounting fraud and sharp practices, and these are some of the things that the GRC analyst, the GRC officer, the GRC personnel, these are some of the things that you are to guard against. Do you know that because of that, 25,000 employees, 25,000, look at where 25,000 people will sit. 25,000 employees lost their jobs, as well as $2 billion, 2 billion, we're not talking of Naira, $2 billion was lost in pension savings, and $1.2 billion in retirement funds, all because of sharp practices and accounting fraud. And as a GRC person, governance, you have to look after who is responsible for what. Is that person playing his own part? It's just like a goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper is not playing his part, let's have so many Ronaldos, Messis up front. But each time the ball comes to the back, it's in the net. You see that we can never win that match. That's the same thing. If the GRC is not strong factor, the organization will collapse. You are playing a great part. Let me ask us a question. You've seen that of Enron. I have a question here. I looked at it in the last 1 decade. Even in recent history in Nigeria, let's not talk of even over the world. Now let's talk of Nigeria. Do you know that banks that collapse might not be you directly, it might be relatives. There are many people that have died in Nigeria because of bank collapse, because all their livelihood was sunk with it. The time of all this investment banking and things like that, in time of forum and all those, comings, we'll do investment, we'll do this and do, all because risks were not captured. There was no compliance to regulation. The MD was just thinking, because I'm the MD, I'm the CEO, I can give contract to my girlfriend, I can give contract to my family, and there was no governance structure. So you see, GRC crosses across all industries. So you can get your job in any industry. I want to give us an exercise. Can you just mention in the chat any bank you can remember his name that has collapsed in Nigeria? So that we realize that when central bank is saying all these banks collapsed, not because customers were not there, no, it was failure in GRC. GRC will ensure accounting fraud does not happen. Because why? For instance, when they tell you some of the money that was embezzled in Nigeria, you'll be wondering, shouldn't there be a person that signs? Shouldn't it be another person that should audit? That is governance. Who is to do what? Thank you. You mentioned Diamond. In short, it's one of the banks one of the banks I'm very, very closely connected to personally. And it was a shame, a big shame. GRC failures. That bank was supposed, it was at a point, was even stronger than Zenith. Can you imagine? It was stronger than Zenith at a point. Diamond Bank, but it collapsed. All State Trust, Sky Bank, Oceanic Bank. Oceanic Bank was another major bank. Standard Bank, Intercontinental. Intercontinental was so liquid, so strong a bank. For you to see GRC in real life so that you can understand that, look, this is not just fictitious something. That's why you see even some big men, society people that we see today, society men, we call them millionaires, billionaires, whatever thing. But because of GRC failure in their personal finances, they take loans anyhow, they use the money anyhow, any money, they give you contract of 100 million, you think it is your profit. You go and buy Lamborghini, you go and buy this. Meanwhile, maybe your profit in that 100 million is just 10 million or 5 million. So GRC cuts across everything. So thank you very much for those that are putting name of banks that have collapsed. You can see all those banks that have collapsed. They will not have collapsed. Societe Generale, exactly. That was a big bank all across Nigeria. Savannah Bank, fantastic. So you can see, so that you know that Bank PHP. I mean, there was PHP, yeah. And we have Bank PHP, we have African International Bank, AIB, Trade Bank, Metropolitan Bank. You see, so many of those banks, they collapse because when you falsify your books, it is a failure of GRC, because somebody is supposed to say, I'm the bank auditor, I'm the branch auditor. Then there will be somebody from CBN who should say, if the auditor doesn't look the right way, the person from CBN should catch him out. But they will say, as you are going, here is your envelope. And you look the other way because they've given you a brown envelope. But at the end of the day, you are building on a weak foundation. So you can say, okay, Nitel, even to today that we say there is no light, there is no whatever. Failure of GRC in Nigeria as an entity is what brought us to this place. Nigeria Airways, can you imagine? See, the other time they say we have Nigerian airline. And none of us are celebrating that Nigeria now has an airline. But you can see the scam that was wrapped up together as an airline for us. So GRC cuts across everywhere you see embezzlement. Know that GRC has failed, because if they vote so, Is another person that votes, is another person that is supposed to implement the spending. Then another person, look at the judiciary that has failed in many areas in our national life. Why? Because GRC. So you see, GRC plays a part globally in every affair of mankind. So for you to know, either you're in America, you're in Africa, in the UK, GRC, you can get your job in anywhere once you understand what it's supposed to do, because these are things that are critical to survival of an organization. Thank you very much. I just wanted to chip in that as we continue. You have the long list of them: Abacus, Merchant Bank, ABC Bank, Allied Bank, Alpha Bank, Century Bank, so many big banks. And some of them, when they sank, many high-placed people died with it because they have all their fortune was lost because of failure of GRC. So realize that it's not a joke. GRC, it could be hospitals, they do shoddy procedures, it could be any type of organization. It could be airline. Many airline will crash because maintenance culture is not there, and somebody will say, look the other way. They've given a bribe. And so GRC. So just look at GRC as that gatekeeper. Thank you very much. Okay, over to you. Teaching hospitals. Fantastic. That's you are bringing on. Thank you very much. Okay, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Oludare. What a monumental loss we have witnessed in our country. May it not continue. Hopefully we raise enough GRC specialists, and you can defend the rest of what is left of our country and the economy. So I'm going to call on Olusegun to take on the next slide. Give us a few tips, career paths and roles in GRC. Let's see in which ways we can actually help. Olusegun.
Thank you, Doctor. It was just looking at the companies, will I call it dishonor rule of companies that have failed because of GRC. And it shows that the most important thing for us as a professional is to stick to what we expected to do. And there are career paths in this role. For example, Doctor, do you want to go to websites, maybe Glassdoor?
Okay, I will just stop this presentation briefly. Let's have a look at Glassdoor. Can you still see my screen?
Yes,
Now,
please.
can everyone see that screen?
Yes, you can see. Yes, please.
Yeah, this is a GRC analyst role, and it's based in London, and this is from Glassdoor. You can see this is our average of 37 to 50K, depending on your experience. And I can say in UK, for you to have a job of 37K, that means you have one of the top 15. You understand, because you know what this could make different in your life or career. And if you look at the left column, you can see security analyst, GRC.
Yeah, let me highlight that.
Thank you. And people, you can see this is 60 to 80K. And the most important thing is we have this role. The jobs are there. The jobs are waiting for you every day. If you scroll down more, Doctor, you can see. Let's look at the, this one you open, let's look at the job roles. Show more, just click on show more. These are the key responsibilities. You can see you work under the coordination of a CISO who will give you strategy on what to implement. And also you implement security roadmaps, either automatically or support from engineering teams. You can't do this all alone. You have to have a lot of people skills. We get there later. And also you have to establish and implement company-wide security policies. Doctor is used to writing policies. At the point I get, I get tired of writing policies because they are all the same. You just domesticate it to your organizations, because ISO 27001 already has a framework that everybody should follow. GDPR also has a framework. If you look at the website, you will see that they have cookie policy, they have privacy policy, and these are the things that they need to comply with. So these are the operational excellence that are required. You drive implementation. You cannot do it alone. It's just for you to understand the business and all that. And everything here, I believe more than half of us in this webinar can successfully do it. More than half of us. Can we go back to the slide, Doctor?
Okay.
Thank you. I just brought this up just for you to see. We are not making this up that, oh, you can be a GRC analyst, you can be a compliance officer, you could be a risk manager. I always like doctors' classes on risk because there's the way it demystify risk so that you understand it better. And also you could be chief risk officer, data privacy consultant. Yeah, there is job. Doctor, do you want to please go back to Glassdoor? Let's see what we have in data privacy role.
Okay. Just
So
hold
that
on a
it's,
minute.
yeah, so that people could see data protection, your data privacy or protection, any other one. Yeah, I think that's the first one.
Should we do manager?
Okay, let's do manager. Location, okay, London.
London, England.
We have people in Germany, we have people from Canada here, doctor. So
Well, let's just use
so
let's use this as a starting
yeah,
point.
of course. Let's just use this as a base. You can see the row here on the, let's see. You can see from 70 to 85K. This is what you will be paid. The job is there. I'm sure this job was not just placed here today. I've been there for some days because the position is still vacant. You can see. Can you please scroll down to what is expected? Desirable. Let's go to essential good. Prior data protection related work or in essential. These are things that they want from you. There is certification, knowledge of data protection, ability to understand and envision privacy program. How do you, for example, if you have the opportunity to work in a startup, how do you put out a privacy program to ensure compliance to data protection? And what approach will you take? Is it preventive? Is it reactive? Or a mix of both? What is the risk threshold that you want to take? You understand? These are the things. Let's check another one, doctor, on data protection.
Okay, it doesn't matter how much it pays. Let's just go with this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just a role. I just want to say that. I'm not even looking at money now. The money, the most important thing I always tell people that I mentor that money always flows towards value. So you need to develop yourself. I remember sometimes in my career, after I close for work, I sit down to read till maybe 1 a.m. I was sleeping less than 4 hours for more than a year because I needed to develop myself. I needed to upskill myself. And now at work, when I talk or when they want to take decision, they need to like, oh, have you talked? Have you talked to Olu? You need to meet with him. We need to get his perspective on this. Oh, this. So because I have put myself into training, I have developed myself. Sometimes I see some jobs I'm like, no, I can't do this job because I'm making decision because of my family. Or if it's not remote, I'm not gonna do it. If it's hybrid, no. Is it 2 days? Is it 1 day? Is it once in a week? Is it once in 2 weeks? Is it once in a month? Because we have gotten to that level. But the truth is we need to give ourselves time to grow. And we have to grow with intention. Thank you, doctor. Let's go back to the slide.
Thank you.
Because we have to bring this up to show that the jobs are out there. You can see the vacant chair is waiting for you. And my challenge to you is, are you willing to take on this role? Do you want to be the one to sit down on the seat as a GRC analyst? Or you want to be the risk manager? What are you willing to do to get to this place? Are you ready to be the data privacy consultant or the data protection officer or the privacy analyst? The jobs are out there. You need to now decide, what do I need to do? What are the requirements? What are the key skills? What are the certifications that are required for professionals? Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Olusegun, for that. So, here you can see some key skills and certifications that are required for GRC professionals. We're going to talk more about them in subsequent slides, but you can see that they're divided into two when we talk about the skill sets. You've got the technical skills and you've got soft skills. So success in governance in GRC requires a blend of these. You have to have your soft skills and some technical skills. And like we've mentioned already, when we talk about the technical skills, nothing to do with coding or writing, procedures that are, in all kinds of language and Python and whatnot. No, it's some of it is just knowledge. Like Olusegun mentioned, one of the things that we're going to teach here is risk assessment in a very comprehensible, easy to understand way that you realize that risk assessment and risk management is something that you do every day in your home. Everything that you do. Companies that do not implement risk management properly are going to end up like the end runs. They're going to end up like the diamond banks and all the mega banks, and everybody's going to be saying, "Ooh, hey, how come? Hey, what's happened?" That's because the proper risk management techniques have not been applied. The caution has not been applied. We've given 100 million loan to somebody who simply bought private jets with it, and we couldn't even sue them to court or something just because of lapses in the way that we operate. Right. So you need this blend of analytical and technical and soft skills. They're crucial in identifying risks so that we know which direction to go. In evaluating internal controls. Internal controls are very important. These are the controls that make, the ethics that the company builds to say, okay, if this happens and that is not there, don't lend. If the person coming to borrow money is a brother to the director, don't give them money. They can go to Wima Bank. Those sort of things. Internal controls help you to protect your business process. Responsible business management. What could go wrong? Who should we listen to and who should we not listen to? When should we pull back and when should we go forward? I mean, they say risk is money, but you don't take stupid risks. You have to make informed decisions. If your decisions are not informed, in alignment with your company's objectives, in alignment with your policies, in alignment with your internal controls, you are sailing a ship to nowhere. And you'll probably end up like the Titanic. I've got this big, great ship that it can never sink. But you never knew that there was icebergs in the river. You never took that into consideration and you just sailed. That's what happens, when GRC is not taken seriously. So GRC professionals must also excel in communication. Communication is important. Why? Because you need to explain complex compliance issues to non-experts. Somebody comes up now and starts telling you all the legal jargon. Oh, NDPR, Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. And they start spewing out legal language, section 11A of 25, version 3 says that under no, big grammar. Maybe the cleaner in the organization will not understand all those things that you're talking about. They won't. We too like grammar. Sorry, we too like grammar. So people like to speak all the big things, forgetting that message is not coming across. The message has to come across. So communication is, in fact, it is one of the top skills that you should have as a GRC analyst in any direction of GRC that you operate, whether it be in the governance sector where you're writing policies and teaching the policy. You don't just write a policy, you write a policy and you communicate that policy. You have to get that policy embedded A lot of companies, you see, they have all the policies in this world. Some of them have not even looked at the policy and decided whether the policy actually fits into the way the organization operates or what the organization is selling. They've simply gone into Google and found a policy template somewhere or some other person's policy. And, oh, okay, this is an acceptable use policy. We'll use this one. They stick it there. They have not communicated the policy to the community, to the people, to the company, staff and whatnot, to say, hey, you know, this new policy, this is what it says. This is what it means. This is how it's going to operate. These are the people it's going to impact. These are the people that are going to manage and monitor it. And these are the consequences of violation. Nobody has taught it. It just goes into some file somewhere and starts to gather dust. That's where communication comes in. In the GRC field, you need people who are going to pick up those documents that are beginning to gather dust and start explaining it to the people who are actually in the field or who are actually delivering services to say, hey, guy, you know, have you actually thought of this? This is what the policy says. This is how you must do this job. This is what you must not do. And these are the consequences of doing this in nice, simple language that is understandable by everybody, you know? And then on the technical side, an expertise in risk assessment frameworks. There are different frameworks for risk assessment, but one of the ones that we normally find is ISO 3100. You know, you've got to think about compliance tools. You know, some of these compliance works operate with tools. OneTrust provides tools, TrustArc, Dominio. So many, you know, there's hundreds of tools out there. So it's not the scope of this webinar today to talk about tools in general, specifically, but just to know that there's tools. These tools sort of help you to organize the work that you do. Even Excel is a very important tool because it can help you to stay organized. Organization or being organized is a key factor. I mean, I haven't mentioned it in the soft skills on the slides, but it's a very critical soft skill. Somebody that is organized, knowing that, okay, this needs to be here, that needs to be there, and this is the way we work. You know, if somebody calls on you, you know where to find the answers straight away, and not waste time shuffling around. You don't know where you put that document again. Is it in my documents? No. I think I put it in this other file. No, being organized and able to find things, putting things in the right place. And being able to find them at the right time. All of those things matter. Regulatory knowledge is critically important as well. Regulatory knowledge or audit proficiency, that means that you know the regulations that matter to you. You understand the standards and the industry standards and practices that are important to you. If you're in the banking sector, you're probably interested in banking operations, you know, banking regulations or whatever. Sorry, I don't really know them, but you get what I mean. If you are in the manufacturing industry, then there are certain good manufacturing practices that you must adhere to. If you're in the healthcare industry, again, there are different regulations and different standards that you must operate with in that sort of industry. So understanding all of your regulations, all of your, you know, the regulatory and legal landscape, you know, is important because this is where the fines are going to come from. You know, you may not lose an asset because somebody has been given a loan and they ran away. You may not have lost your assets because there was an earthquake in that area and you never knew it, and you built your headquarters right where the hurricane always starts. So you didn't lose your buildings, but you could lose all your capital because you violated, you know, maybe a data protection regulation in a certain jurisdiction and where they don't take nonsense, and you've had to hand over 20 million euros. So it's goodbye. Let the competitors take over here. So there's a lot to think about. Many industries rely on professionals with a strong grasp of cybersecurity. The same financial regulation, data protection, data privacy. Even an ethical mindset is non-negotiable. Nobody, you've got to have the right ethical mindset. And what do we mean by ethical mindset? It's your values. It's the set of values that the company operates in. Sometimes when you look at a company's websites, they will usually tell you things like our values. We do this way, we do that way. Very important, very, very important. If you look at the ethical, some people just create them but don't actually live them. So somebody who is a GRC analyst has with ethical, sort of mindset, or if you're one of the people who are going to build on some of these kind of structures, you might be the person who develops the culture or changes the culture of the organization. You start to see the gaps, and you start to mend the gaps and tie things together. This culture is not good for this kind of. If you're in an entertainment industry, then people can laugh and play music all day long, and wear very bright clothes, turn up at work with headphones in their ears. I mean, I might be exaggerating here, but I'm just trying to get the essence of these facts across. But if you work in a legal firm, people want to see that you guys look serious. That serious-minded people that head in the books all the time, trying to interpret the law properly. Not you turn up at the law firm and everybody's wearing jeans and they've got earphones, listening and tapping away to music. These guys really going to be able to defend me from this case that could that could mean I lose all my assets and my company. No, I want serious-minded people. So you come in, and your job or your role might simply be to realign the culture of that organization so that your stakeholders can relate with you. They can have some trust. Trust and reputation is absolutely important for any company to operate. Responsible business management. That's what we're talking about. So all of these things help. So GRC professionals play a key role in upholding integrity and ensuring organizations operate responsibly. So building these skill sets will set you apart in the field and position you for long-term success, because I'm sure this is what all of us want. Long-term success, opportunities where you can diversify. You can be in cybersecurity today, and then tomorrow you're operating in data protection, or you might be someone who is writing policies. On the other hand, you might be someone who is understanding and trying to align the culture of your organization. Maybe there's other things that you might do. And then we've got a small clip there where we'll talk about it in more detail later, about the certifications that you might already have or that you might be looking for. There's many ways that you can get into GRC. You can start by getting some certifications to allow yourself to be seen, or like some of us here, we've started through practical work experience, finding the opportunities through work that we're already doing, and stretching out our hands and to give help and develop a career through that. So our next slide, which I will let Olusegun to talk to us about, is delving deeper into these soft skills.
Thank you, Doctor. I'll try to make it very fast. You've actually done justice to most of the skills, but I just want to lay emphasis on the soft skills, because soft skills is one of the requirements that you need to build or to glue your skills. If you are very good technically and you cannot communicate, or you lack people skill, you will find it very difficult. Some people, you will see them in the office, they don't really do anything, but people like seeing them around, and they get things done in a way that they know who knows someone that can help you manage your stakeholders, especially difficult stakeholders. Those ones have people skills. You might know this job, you might know what to do, you might have the best of certifications, but if you are not culture fit, you might find it difficult. You might get the job, but you might struggle to keep the job. And it's not about racial discrimination, because I used to tell people it's difficult to discriminate against excellence. is very difficult. And if you are excellent, you have to be amazing all around. It's a 360-degree view. For example, we're talking about soft skills and we're saying analytical thinking. Yeah, you need to identify the risk, you need to assess the risk, you need to evaluate controls. Do we have appropriate internal control? Am I making decisions based on my emotions or what I feel like, or I'm making decisions based on the guiding principles of the organization and also the guiding principles of me having an ethical mindset? These are the things that are important. We make decisions every day. Then I'll move to communication skills. There was someone that was struggling with email. You send email, people will not reply. I told him, go and pay for a Grammarly premium. You will learn a lot of things. I know you can write English very well, but have you looked at your tone, the tone of your email? For example, you say, oh, apologies for getting back to you late. Why not say, oh, thank you for your patience. I have been handling X, Y, Z, and that's why I'm getting back this late. You actually apologize, but you're still appreciating the fact that, oh, sorry, my voice is low. Sorry, I do. Okay. You can get things done, but the most important thing is, do you have the right skill? Do you have people's skill? I'm not saying you should be in the office to play politics or to do things that please let me know if you are hearing me. Just type yes so that we know you are hearing me or someone is struggling.
Yeah,
And
I can hear you. You're loud and clear.
All right, thank you. Because someone is sending messages that she's not hearing me. Can you please check your speakers? I don't want anyone left behind. So the most important thing is, how do you enhance these soft skills? I'm not saying you should engage in politics, no. It's about being approachable. It's about being able to manage stakeholders. Sometimes I will send emails to some people for days. I know they are busy. What I want from them, it might just be 5 minutes of their time. I will just see them going to the going to the canteen for lunch, and we just stroll down and say, oh, sorry, I know I'm not evading you. And we sort it out over lunch, and we get things done. And in 5 minutes, I will see the email and everything that I wanted. Because sometimes your output or some other people's output is your input. So the soft skills are very important. Technical proficiency is just understanding technology, terms, and systems. Some people, they will ask some questions. Oh, what is DPI? What do you mean by DPI? What do you mean by ROPA? What do you mean by data mapping? Do you mean we have to do geography by doing data mapping? You know, it's the way you speak to them. Some people, they say, what is DPI? You know what DPI is, but the best thing for you to do is, oh, it's actually a risk assessment in terms of privacy or data protection. They own, oh, okay, that's what you mean. Okay, let's do the risk assessment. They might not understand the angle you're coming from, but you have something that you can use to bring them on board and see things from your own perspective, and you get the job done. And like I said earlier, ethical mindset is also important. It's good to have professional skepticism, and at the same time, we need to adhere to practical professional standards. When things are not going your way, there will always be people that will bring things to your way, but you need to like, oh, am I doing the right thing? So that when, or like the movie we produce, what is dead may never die. So that when you finish the task, you know it's finished. Not that in 6 months down the line, some people will be asking you, how did you do this? Why did you arrive at this? How did you get your figure? And if you're running metrics, we talk about tools and doctors talk about them. Excel. Excel is very important. Excel skill, I think, is one of the best skill that everyone can have, because you can, for example, I produce metrics. I'll give you an example. In my organization last year, we received 37,000 emails in the privacy inbox alone. I'm not talking about OneTrust and other platforms. Now, we cannot just go to the VP and say, oh, I have 37 emails. we have to explore, we have to move it to folders, create folder based on categorization of the emails. Oh, these are spam. I was able to say, oh, 40% is a spam, 20% is IP related in terms of copyrighted issue. So percentage has to do with ex-employee, certain percent has to do with regulatory emails around the world, and we're able to triage and there were no fines. Certain percent is XYZ. We use Excel to prepare this, and everyone could see the dashboard and like, oh, this makes sense. But if you just tell them, oh, we've received 37,000 emails. Okay, anybody can do that, just to look at the email and say, oh, okay, we have total 37,000. What makes up the metadata of those 37,000 emails? That's how you now to communicate metrics. And everybody will see what you're doing. Oh, the next thing you're, oh, do you need help? Oh, you guys are doing so much. Do you need help? Do you need people in your team? That's when I now put my demand. Yes, I actually need 2 more people to help me do this. Oh, I need more translators because we have to, some people send emails around the world in different languages, and I need tools to translate it in real time. Of course, I can translate using Copilot or Outlook Exchange, but I need to provide response. I need to draft emails. I read emails from my team every day, and at the same time, I take the emails to legal to vet before I translate. And sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm not going to use, this is sensitive, let's use a vendor. Let's use a third-party vendor. And I have to justify. These are decisions we need to make because people want to see that you make things easy. You are easy to work with. You are not always, I know I cannot do. Of course, you need to prioritize. But the most important thing is, do you have people skill? Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks very much for that. Really good slide there. So let's talk about certifications and training. Earlier on, I was talking about the different ways that you can get into GRC, the GRC profession. Earning a professional certification is one way. It can significantly boost your career prospects just by having one of these certifications that we've got there on the board, because it demonstrates your expertise, it demonstrates credibility, commitment, someone who is hardworking. So, making it makes you an attractive candidate if you have a certification that is out there. But it's not the most important thing. You've got to have the motivation within you. There are certain people who will sit in any exam and ace it, but they don't have, the mindset isn't there. And that's where Olusegun was talking about the ethical mindset. A lot of these certified areas, especially in the cybersecurity ones, ISC squared, they have ethical values. The fact that because one thing you need to realize is that within these roles in GRC, you are actually going to be someone who operates at a very, very critical end. You can make or break a company. They're very sensitive roles. If you are in a data protection role, for instance, if you hide a breach, maybe there's a very critical breach that has come into the organization, it's on your table to treat. Maybe because of a biased mind, you look at the scenario and you think the person who has caused this breach is a friend of mine. I'm going to protect them and hide some facts. So you've got the knowledge because you've passed the exam, but you lack the integrity or you lack the ethical mindset to do the right thing. So it's important that you've got the right mindset, the right ethical motivations, etc. And then these certifications will always show that you are a committed person and a hardworking one at that. So one of the most respected certifications is the CISA, the second one, Certified Information Systems Auditor. A lot of people go for that. It focuses on IT auditing and controls, understanding, and auditing and controls is what GRC is all about. Compliance, basically, is auditing and controlling. Who does what? Where are the internal controls? How is it being applied? Has it been applied here? Are we being efficient? Do we need to make some changes? Yes, no, who has violated it and who has not? Those sort of things. So CSAR is really, really, basically, it's an entry point and a very valid foundational point for GRC roles. You know, some people might want to specialize in risk management, which is a C risk, certified in risk and information systems control. It is a top credential, top credential, and it gives you a full overview of risk management, understanding where we should operate and where we should not, why we should no longer do this, why we should carry on. Maybe there's a huge amount of benefit if we take this risk. If we jump from, okay, so for instance, you know, if I jump from, somebody tells you jump from a 10-story building and I'll give you £1 million.
Why doesn't send a text to him?
Yeah, send a text. Okay.
Is it realistic? There's money to be made, but the risk is that if you jump from a 10-story building, we're not going to get a piece of you. It's not going to happen. So your C risk manager is going to say, okay, there's a lot of benefits in taking this risk, but we're not going to do it because we wouldn't be alive to take the benefits. There's other types of risks. You know, maybe, okay, we need someone who will spend X amount of money and bring in this product. It then depends on the marketing. You know, if you don't market it properly, you've lost your money. But if you market it very well, you know, then you recoup the benefits. Your risk manager goes around and looks at and finds out that you've got one of the best advertising teams in the world, one of the best marketing teams, one of the best sales teams. So, yeah, you know what? Even though this is one of the most difficult things to shift, we've got the personnel, we've got the expertise here. If anyone can pull it off, it is us. Let's take the risk. And you take the risk and, you know, yay, a lot of benefits comes in. So if you aim to take on leadership, you want to be in control. Roles in security governance, like the CISM, Certified Information Security Manager, are good ones. It's quite ideal. Or you can do ISO 27001, lead implementer, which gives you a deep knowledge of information security management systems. Information security management systems are very, very organized, a very detailed method of how you protect the organization's assets, how you protect the organization's compliance requirements and standards. You need to also understand the culture of the organization. You know, hey, you know, what sort of organization are we operating in here? What is the culture? Are we dancing people here? Are we serious-minded? Do we approve things very, very quickly? Or do we scrutinize for months and months before we make an approval? You know, all of those things. You put it into perspective, you run a risk assessment and say, okay, these are the risk areas. This is how we should protect these assets. This is how we should protect and respect our customers, blah, blah, blah. You've got 114 controls that you're monitoring, basically. So that's the way it is. So each of these certifications can enhance your expertise and your earning potential in the GRC industry. So I think you guys are beginning to see here now that GRC is not a subject in itself. Hey, you know, I've just gone and studied GRC, so I'm good. There are courses out there, there are subject areas out there that can talk about GRC in general. You can get certifications in them. Obviously, like we talked about the certified in GRC, you can get those certifications, but you're not limited to that. Just because you've got expertise in auditing and monitoring, or in risk assessment, or in privacy, or in lead implementer and things like that, you're good enough. You're absolutely sought after. So having spoken about these certifications as being one way that you can get into GRC, another way you can get into GRC is to, if you're already in work, you probably have some of these skills. You may have skills that are not necessarily certified in terms of certifications, but if you can demonstrate these things, which is one of the things that we're going to be focusing when we run our course, we're focused on practical training so that people understand exactly what this jargon is about, how to operate, how to implement. We're going to see risk assessments in detail. We're going to see auditing and monitoring in detail. We're going to see how to manage assets and stuff like that. We're going to look at policy writing and communication. All of these things will practically set out. We will look at things like SOC 2 type 2 auditing, where you look at a company and decide that this company is risky or that they have all the necessary controls, do business with them, those sort of things. That there's quite a lot that we're going to teach. It is all based on practical experience and practical demonstration so that you walk away with the full skills. But again, we still encourage you to have this certification so that you look like a knight in shining armor. It's really good. So that said, I'm going to get my colleague, Olusegun, do you want to talk to us a little bit about transitioning into GRC from other fields? You know, because
Thank you, Doctor. We've all seen how the journey has been so far, and I can tell you, it's actually a rewarding journey, moving into GRC. And what are the things? Because you might be asking yourself, well, GRC, okay, what do I need to do? What step do I need to take? The truth is, we here also start our career in different paths. Look at doctor. Doctor's supposed to be in the lab by virtue of him getting the PhD. And I'm also supposed to maybe in the banking hall or something, doing something. But the most important thing for me, I've always been a compliance person as well. And what are the skills? We talk about soft skills. You can bring a lot of transferable skill to the table because you're dealing with people. You're from finance, law, IT, or security. You bring this to the table. Just come as you are. And you will see that, oh, I need to manage. We've all been in a situation where we have to manage difficult boss, difficult stakeholders. Just bring your skill. The most important thing is be ready to learn new things. You don't have to stick to, oh, this is what I know. No, because everything keeps changing. And then we need to seek opportunities to gain practical experience through internship, projects, or entry-level positions. I can tell you, I know someone that took a GRC role, and the salary was 10,000 below what she was currently earning. But because she wanted to change her career, she decided to go for that lower job. It was a strategic move. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just telling you, sometimes we have to, like, okay, I need to do this. It's a sacrifice. In 6 months, she got another role, and the pay was almost 20K higher, and she loves what she's doing. So going into this feed or being a GRC professional, you need to like determine to like, okay, how do I get the practical work experience? What do I need to do? Okay, let me intern, let me volunteer, let me partner with people that are doing projects. You may even be in your association or your communities, or depending on even professional associations and all that. And then looking at entry-level positions. I tell you, entry-level positions are low-hanging fruits. For example, if you want to start a data protection role, and they're telling you, oh, there's a job for DISA, to just manage DISA and file integrity. I tell you, it's just a very small role under the umbrella of data protection. Grab it with both hands. Even if they're saying they will be paying you £200 a day, it's a contract role, please take the role. Those are the things that will help you. Because the moment you're on the ladder, you're adding belts. Okay, this is part of my experience. And from there, you might even be talking to somebody in the office and say, oh, you can do this. Then you start it. I started as a privacy analyst. And most things that I do now, I look back at those years of little beginnings, little training and all that. Sometimes I apply for jobs, I don't even put my certification. And sometimes my certification will even be the major discussion during an interview. We just discuss, what do you like? Do you know I like to audit? Because it gives me an overview and all that. Before you know it, you'll be discussing salary. Then joining communities, professional communities, attending industry events. I know in the UK it's quite expensive for conferences and webinars, but try as much as possible. There are also free ones. I was in GRC conference in October in Excel, London. I can say even me physically, I was able to meet people, and it also expand my network. It was an industry event. I could see different tools in the market. And when I engage with them, oh, you said you do this, but can your tool, you said your tool can help me with this, but can your tool also do data mapping? Some say, no, it's just to do the data, but we can connect it to whatever you're using through API and all that. Some say, oh, this can do this for you, this can do that for you. It opens your mind to see what is out there. That's how to moving. And we also need to stay updated on regulations and trends. Subscribe to industry newsletter. Those are free. You get free newsletter and try to read them. As I'm talking to you, I have an ISACA journal that has been sent to me that I've not even opened that I need to read. And after reading it, I also put it aside because I still need to consult. These are the things that will keep you updated, you know what is happening. Then certification, doctors have done justice to certifications. Okay, even with certification, sometimes they are saying, no, we cannot pay you this, Israel want to pay you and all that, but don't feel that spirit. There will be challenges, but the truth is, you can do this. The moment you've made up your mind that this is what you want to do, and you are taking the right steps, and you are also patient with yourself. As a matter of fact, my first attempt at CISA, I failed. But I did not give up. Because if you give up, you are no different with somebody that did not even make an attempt at all. So these are the things you need to do. It's not a rocket science. It's just a deliberate, consistent approach and being intentional. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hang on to that, your word, deliberate, intentional approach. It's very, very key, to have that mindset. And, this reminds me of, I'm going to merge these two slides. This reminds me of a time when I was seeking specialization in different areas, and I stooped to conquer. This is something that is very, 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 very significant in Yoruba culture. It's and English culture as well. Humbling yourself in order to understand the bigger picture. So in one of these roles, I took on a role as an administrator. What it did for me, I was the most junior staff in that role. And this is coming at a time that I had my PhD. So it was very significant. People thought I was crazy. Everybody thought this guy has definitely gone mad. He should be commanding some lab somewhere. He's going to work as an administrator in a law firm. What madness is this? They're not even related. But what I was doing is trying to learn about regulatory processes. And the only way I could do that was to get a role as a clerk, an administrator. So how did it get me the opportunity? Because I was the person in charge of filing. So all the lawyers and the solicitors and whatnots would deal with their cases. They will go to court. They will write up their dossiers, and I would be the one to file it. So I had access to the file room. That means I had access to a vast library of opportunity. So I saw all these things about AML and KYC, how it was done. I saw all the different things about, data protection. I saw things in compliance. I understood the legal process. I understood so much. I learned so much just being the administrator. And after 1 year, I moved on and started a job as a project manager. And, then I jumped into data protection and then information security. And it has always been the same process. Wherever I go, I sit down and try to understand the aligning subject area. From data protection, I got involved in cybersecurity and so on and so forth, and then in compliance and all of these things. So that's the way we grew. That deliberate approach is what supported me. So career advancement in GRC, again, this is what we're talking about. You've got to have that deliberate approach. You've got to want to advance your career. But in GRC, it's an easy thing. Not well, I wouldn't say it's an easy thing. It's a very, very great, there's a very great possibility for it because all of these roles align. And if you become an expert and specialize in something, you can move on to the other. So if you develop expertise in a specific GRC area like cybersecurity, for instance, data protection, for those of you in banking, AML, KYC, regulatory compliance, you can grow into leadership roles, or you can progress into leadership roles, into management roles, things like chief compliance officer, chief risk officer, those sort of roles, where you then oversee enterprise-wide governance strategies. And then you start seeing the bigger picture. Well, we all kind of know what leadership is all about. But the key thing is continuous learning. You have to stay updated on evolving regulations, the technologies, best practice. These days, we talk about AI, and this is one of the subject areas that we're going to be focusing on as well. AI is here to stay with us. It's just like back in the day when suddenly the internet became a big thing. Some people shunned it, some people feared it, some people engaged it. So which one are you going to be? Are you going to fear AI? Are you going to shun it? Or are you going to engage it? That's probably going to be what talks about the next epoch. We've had the Ice Age, we've had the Stone Age, we've had the Internet Age. There has to be something else coming, and it's probably AI. So this is a subject area that we're going to talk about a lot. It supports GRC quite a lot in a lot of ways, especially when you come to tooling, and also because of the speed of events and the speed of change. One day you have one regulation. I remember when the GDPR came through, it was one regulation that we had to worry about. And then suddenly now, there's the 50 states of America, which operate like 50 different countries. Each of them are coming up with their own regulations. How does a privacy professional cope in that kind of landscape? So, it's continuous learning. It's continuous engagement. A lot of them are similar, but there are nuances between each and every one of them. So if you're someone practicing in the United States, your work is up there to do. And of course, the Asian countries are coming out strong as well. China, Malaysia, all of them, Japan, Singapore, all of them have their own regulations. India has one now as well, which is causing a lot of ripples in the landscape. So these are the things that you need to do for career advancement. Specialize in something, push for leadership roles, push to be better, push to be bigger, ambition. That is what you need for career advancement, and continuous learning. Keep working hard. Keep the candle alive. Don't ever keep the light off. That's what you need. And as long as your brain is active, you will be fit. Believe it or not. The day that you stop being active and you just sit at home doing nothing, your bones start to crack and crumble. So let's keep that continuity, keep the brain sharp, and have that ambition on the tip of your tongue every morning, and specialize in something. We've talked about certifications. That's one way to specialize, and come into this game as a specialist. So let's look at the next slide. I think Shigu, you'll help me to talk about the trends in GRC.
Thank you, Doctor. For example, we know what is next in GRC or in any career. I was having a discussion with my wife a few weeks ago that the career that we do now, what I do now, it was not a career 20 years ago, even while I was in school. Because we only know then, and because people were scared of AI. And I told him my mom, of blessed memory, used to be a typist, a secretary. And when Microsoft laptop came in, people are like, oh, people will lose their job in the civil service. There will be da 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 da. But she didn't lose her job. She never lost her job. She transitioned to using computer in the office, to printing. But I always remember growing up, we have a typewriter in our house. Whenever I'm in her room, she's always typing. Maybe she needs to do something for church, or she's just trying to practice her speed. And when we moved to laptops, PC, and all that, she never lost her job. And I'm not scared of AI. But are you scared of AI? There's growing focus on digital compliance. Everything is AI-driven risk management. Even certification, there are certifications now in AI, and everybody's not saying, oh, I know this about AI. The truth is, we will still be involved. Because as a GRC professional, you need to inspect what you expect. But then, have you developed yourself to be, not to be left behind? Of course, there is a lot of regulatory scrutiny and compliance requirements. Because we all use AI at work. Most of us, we have applied for a job in 30 minutes. They already tell you, unfortunately, and you'll be wondering, how long did they take them to read the CV that you sent? Even some in less than 5 minutes. Because they put it in what we call ATS. Or they've tried to put it in one AI and say, oh, this does not meet our requirement. So those are the things we need to be prepared for, because that's the future. People don't write code anymore. Okay? People now use AI to write codes and get API link and what? Because it makes them work smarter and faster. As a GRC professional, how will you align yourself? How will you align your career growth to the future trend of AI, regulatory scrutiny, and all that? Before you know the law in China, you have to maybe send somebody or wait for fax. But if you just go online, you make use of data guidance from OneTrust, you can see the map of every privacy regulations across the world and what you need to implement and how you need help. It's just for you to sit down, read, understand what the law is saying, and then look at decided cases in those countries. We also have emerging rules in ESG. We have people that are activists. We have people that what they care about is social, and some about governance. The most important thing is everything has been embedded as a rule. This rule does not kill business. They make the playing field to be flattened. So that if you know you're coming to play, this is the rule. And the question is, how do you want to align yourself? Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. So it's time for us to wrap up. And this is now your opportunity to ask questions, to find out more. How can we get involved? Because really, this is your next step in the journey. Take action, make this thing happen for you. So explore the training programs. We have a very good comprehensive training program here, which is based on practical experience. What we bring is real world examples, the expertise and the experience that we've gained in various roles between Olusegun and myself, and Oludare. We've worked in various industries and roles within GRC and beyond. And we have cobbled together a very, very comprehensive training program that focuses on practical experience that will give you everything that you need to hit the ground running. So come up with your questions. Let us know how you feel and how you can get into GRC.
Thank you very much, coaches. Hey guys, please let's ask our questions. It's the time for us to ask any question you may have regarding this. It's an interesting career, as you said, and Thank you very much for a brilliant delivery. Let's ask questions or maybe any contribution, anything you just want to say regarding, or maybe if it's the comments with the feedback from you. We can, if you don't want to talk, you can leave your feedback on the chat, feedback regarding the delivery of this. And then if you have any question, yes, I do.
Sorry, just before that, there's a question on the chat box. Maureen Kechi wants to know whether we are going to be the facilitators. Indeed, we are, yours respectfully, the ones to facilitate the program and the course.
Yes.
I hope that satisfies you. Thank you.
Thank you. So they will facilitate this program, and you can see they're coming with a wealth of experience. And if you are new to the field, we'll take you from, we will bring it in such a way that you will be guided accordingly. Okay. Sir, can you help clarify one of the essentials in job posting you display? It says you must be a solicitor. I know there are some roles definitely that could have specifics. So it's not every job you can apply for in life. For instance, if they want, there are some, let's say a project manager role now, can be a project manager, but maybe they need a project manager role where they want to install a radiography equipment in a large hospital. They need a project manager that has nursing background. So that one, you that don't have medical background, you can't just say because I'm a project manager, I want to go for that. So there are some jobs that they may need you to be a solicitor. The reason I believe that job entails some things about legal maneuverings that in a person that is not a solicitor might find it difficult. I remember when I was in the bank, there are some times they need a driver in the bank. They need a driver, but they will say they need a driver mechanic. That is a driver who has been a mechanic before. So you can say that I know how to drive does not qualify you to go and get that role. So when you see some jobs that have specific requirements, it's not for everybody. It means they need that for obvious reasons. So don't let that scare or bother you because there are thousands of other jobs. You look for jobs that might not have specific domain requirements. If you don't have that domain requirement, you go for general domain. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Okay, just 1 second. That is Onoyemi. Some of the questions, if it relates to this particular, I'll ask the coaches. What is the next step for someone willing to progress? How much time in hours should be expected to put in weekly for the work experience? So basically, we have a 12 weeks program. You get in touch with H&T. They will get in touch with you later on. If you want to enroll for the program, it's kicking off very soon to be a 12 weeks, Saturday and Sunday for the next 12 weeks. And it will be very, very practical. So that at the end of the training, you should be in a strong position to apply as a GRC analyst. So that is the learning outcome. That is what that training is designed to do. Everything basically you see the fusion of the fusion and collaboration between H&T and Digital Business Consult. We work together to ensure that training comes with experience and to ensure that it is practical, hands-on. Most of the things we do together, we go hand in hand with practical demonstration so that candidates that learn that thing can have the practical knowledge. So when we train you on this, you will be equipped with the practical skill set that you need. So we don't only talk about slides. We usually will give you things to go and read on your own, but the class discussion will be more practical. And then you will have templates and assignments that will help you so that if you go to look for a job, you can see how the coaches they explain their own journey. They were not into compliance originally, but you can see they picked it up, and then with practical support and mentoring support, it helps to be able to get you through the door where you can now become a GRC expert. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, if I may expand on that a little bit more. Bridget wanted to know in how much time in hours that they need to put in. So basically, the classes are structured over a 12-week program, and they're structured on Saturdays and Sundays for, I think, a 2-hour session. But beyond those 2-hour sessions, after every session, you will walk away with an assignment. So we expect you to put in 8 to 10 hours a week. So those 2 hours in class, the rest of the hours are going to be spent on your assignments, the research that you do around it, and the communication back and forth with the facilitators. So whilst you do your assignments, you're going to be in groups working on certain assignments, and you can seek assistance from the facilitators through different other channels. Every Saturday and every Sunday, we'll then come together and talk about these assignments, and then do the lectures for the day. And of course, if you want to put in extra work, like we mentioned, if you want advancement, you've got to do the work. So that is an opportunity for you to read harder than everybody else. Maybe some of you can come up with a CISA or a CISM or ISO 27001 certificate within the first 3 months of starting off. You know, it's not unheard of that doing these type of programs. And in fact, we had these experiences, Ludera and myself, you know, long time ago. Some students, you know, simply got jobs halfway through the program, and which is really exciting. It's down to motivation and how much you want it. We've got the tools to guide you through, and so you just need to grasp it and follow through. Over to you, Ludera. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And don't forget, irrespective of any of these programs, personal dedication of time, personal commitment is needed, whereby the classes could be 2 hours Saturday, Sunday, but you have assignments, you have research work you need to do, everybody. So that's how you pick the skills. Okay. Thank you. I noticed that a number of the certifications are leaning towards data protection. I currently work in a rail and infrastructure organization. What certification would you advise I focus on for that? Let me say something before the coaches come in as well. You see, so long as it's GRC, irrespective of whether you're working in the hospital, you're working in the university, you're working in rail, you're working in commerce, it doesn't make any difference. GRC cuts across, you are going to be looking at governance, risk, and compliance of the procedures that are laid down there. So either you are in any of those places, for instance, if you have any of your, either you have your C risk, you have your CISM, Certified Information Security Manager, any of those, you have any of those certifications that relates to GRC, you can use that in any industry. So it's a different thing that you are in manufacturing, doesn't mean you have to have your own GRC will have, your own certification will have to mean manufacturing. No, it's the same principle, because all of them will have leadership, all of them will have regulations, all the organizations will have things that, you know, like in let's say in I always say in Nigeria, for instance, because I don't know of other African countries. In Nigeria, our problem is not we don't have law. We have laws, but they're not being followed. I use that as an example. So it's the same thing with every organization. There are laws in every organization, but are they being followed? There are regulations. There are things that are in existence. Are they being followed? So it's the same thing you will do with all those, irrespective of where you work. Once you get certified, you know, maybe like you know how to use one trust tool, for instance, you know how to understand, okay, this is how maybe my risk knowledge, you have your risk experience. Maybe you go and take your C risk, or you go and take anything in compliance, or you go and take, maybe you attempt your CISM exam, you pass it. You can work in hospital, have a colleague that was working in a bank for several years. He's a top accountant, certified accountant, but he is also an auditor. He works for a major hospital. Can you imagine, from banking and then you're talking of hospital? No, it doesn't make any difference. You can work in any industry so long as it is GRC work you'll be doing there, GRC related functions. I hope that answers your question. That is, sorry, I'm trying to get the name. That is Moreni Keji. Okay.
Yes, if I may come in there again, Moreni Keji, you are exactly the type of person this course is designed for. Because a lot of times people think that you've got to have a specific knowledge to get into specific jobs. That's not the case anymore these days. You know, you've heard that I started in biotechnology, which is, you know, to simplify it, microbiology. That's what I've done. And today I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I'm a data protection specialist, and a lot of other things. It's about being a comb-shaped employee. You know, this is what we look for: people who have interest in a large number of things. So the fact that you work in real infrastructure, it means that you're an engineering person. You've got knowledge of engineering, and a lot of these disciplines are sort of based on engineering. But the soft skills side of it is also what we're looking at. Being able to write policies. We're going to teach you how to write policies. Being able to interpret policies, those sort of things that we're going to learn here. So that's why this course is focused on practical experience. When you conclude the course, you will be able to sit in front of an interview panel and plead your case, or basically prove your case. I've been to a number of interviews, and I realized that, you know, yes, sometimes if you've got all the beautiful certifications decorating your medals and stuff, you know, you might get noticed immediately. You might be called into an interview. But if you cannot explain to the panel how you can deliver solutions, you're not getting the job. It doesn't matter if you've got all the certifications in the world. You have to be able to understand the problem of the person who's recruiting and tell them how you can find a solution to that problem. That's what really matters. And so you see, you heard Shegu saying that sometimes he doesn't even put his certifications in applications. He just tells them how he's going to solve their problem. He gets called into an interview and he explains it. That's what we're going to be teaching here. What are the key skills? What are the real things that are needed? You know, when you look at general write-ups, they'll write a lot of jargon that, well, you know, if you're going to go into this is what you need. This is, you must do this. No, many organizations are only working with a subset of the vast array of intelligence and the vast array of technologies and whatnot that is needed. If you happen to get a good understanding of one aspect of it, we're going to give you a good understanding about at least 3 aspects of GRC or more. You will be able to confidently sit before a panel and tell them how you can bring solutions. In terms of certification, the world is your oyster. You know, you choose whichever one that your strengths lie on. You know, again, we can help you to guide you to the best certification that you can go for. But I will suggest that when we start the course, this will be the best time to start looking at those sort of things. We look at your strengths and we tailor something for you.
Thank
that's
you
what I
very
wanted to add.
We will take AC's question before we go on the other ones that are typed, so that we don't keep our hand for so long. Hi, AC, what's your question?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the session. Mine was a bit different. Doctor, you mentioned earlier that you've lost a job at some point, like in this line, you've lost a job. I just wanted to know what it's like in this system, seeing as we're dealing with maybe privacy or showing some certain skills, like you're good at this, then you now lose a job. How do you come back to work? How do you go to another interview and then say, oh, this company that collapsed and it was my fault, or this place I was laid off from, how am I now going to be useful in the next place? I know that we're just starting out, but that question popped in my head when you mentioned it.
Good. Resilience is what you need in these scenarios. residents, and I was careless at the time, you know. And to be honest, I'm going to be really, really honest here. I was doing multiple jobs simply because I was doing a contract in one organization, and I was doing another contract in another organization. Just basically juggling a lot of things. That is still possible. People do multiple jobs these days. It's just the way the world has turned out, specifically because a lot of it is remote working. So I've got all my equipment in front of me, and I just do what I need to do. It was just a lapse of carelessness where, what did I do? I took a laptop and went abroad, not realizing that that particular company had in their policy suite acceptable use policy. You may not take our equipment outside the country. You know, other companies that I worked for didn't have that policy. They didn't really. It wasn't a problem for them. Oh, okay, yeah, you're working remotely. You can work from anywhere in the world. That's fine. But this particular company had that ruling, and I violated it, and they didn't waste time. So this is not man no man. This is not a case. This was a company that had a very strong culture. Because I talked about culture of organizations, you need to understand the culture of the organization. Are these people serious-minded people? Are they lenient? Are you going to get a second chance here or not? That's what GRC does. You learn the culture of the organization when you come in as a, you know, but again, it depends on the type of role that you're going to play. So if you're coming in from as a compliance specialist, you know, you're dealing with compliance in a lot of different areas. You might be dealing with financial compliance. You might be dealing with regulatory compliance. You might be dealing with data protection in itself as a full suite of work. You might be in cybersecurity, or you might be in the auditing teams. Well, you know, depends on where your strengths lie or what the job role is. Then you might also be involved in policy writing itself or policy communication. So if you lost a job, don't panic. Don't feel that you've lost it all. How do you bounce back? You just bounce back. You just dust yourself down and go to the next job. You've got the quality. You know what you're doing. You've got your experience. You've got your certifications. If you have, you've got your confidence. Okay, lost one, that's fine. You know, learn from that. The important thing is always learning from your failures. There's someone that said you cannot have success without failure. I learned a very huge and important lesson from there. It was something that was lacking before, or maybe I just wasn't paying much attention, but it got my attention. And I said, oh, wow, really? Okay. Next time around, it's not going to happen to me. So I'm conveying this just so that you kind of get ready for the battle ahead. Well, it's not a battle. It's a smooth, lovely journey. Yeah, just understand it's a beautiful journey.
It's good not to take things for granted, guys. That's what our coach is telling us so that we could know. But don't beat yourself down. You just go and learn from it. Thank you very much, Coach. Adu, you have a question?
Oh, I have two actually.
Okay.
Yes, I have a question. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Please,
I'll take it after yours.
yeah, please, in the interest of our time, if it's a question that has been, you can put a question on, if you have a question, you can put it on the chat, so that we need to close in the next 5 minutes. So let's make it quick. Okay, over to you, Adu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I wanted to find out, for me, I'm a lawyer who has, I got a role with a healthcare company. However, I am, in a way, working on issues around data privacy and all that. And because the company is also involved with a lot of things on AI, I wanted to find out if doing like certifications with Security Plus is something that is a next step, or the kind of certifications, or maybe the general risk and compliance certification. I just wanted to know what you would advise. And then if at all one would prepare just for the certifications, since the experience is something I'm already having, or this the course that the Hills and Tech would have, would be necessary prior to such certifications. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. One thing that stands out is this. Certification and experience, they are two indispensable aspects of the game. You need certification for global recognition. You need experience, which cannot be bought. So it's not either of the two. You need both. One thing I say is this: as it relates to GRC, any certification that relates to GRC is useful. It doesn't have to be a particular one. Any one of them is useful. And
Adam's busy. He's on the call. Go on, Miss
and
Mom.
above all, sorry, unmute yourself. And above all, going into this course will equip you with the experience. You see the coaches, one of them mentioned of someone that got a job that has a lower salary and then later on got a bigger one. When you get this experience, it will give you the leverage to be able to move across industries, because by then you have your experience. What we will now be telling you is get certification. Certification, let me explain something in 1 minute. One of the reasons why we promote certification is this. If you went to Unife, you can say in Nigeria, see people say, there are 2 universities in Nigeria, Unife, and then all others. If you go to UR, the same thing you say. If you go to UniBen, the same thing you say. You go to Covenant University, the same thing you say. But you know that outside of Nigeria, most of those names that we celebrate in Nigeria, that we talk about in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, some will be asking you, where is that? Is that a school? What? They don't even know anything about it. So that's why we always say to people, go for certification because they are global. So if you have this practical training that represents your experience in that field, and you get a global certification, that either you are in Canada, either you are in Russia, in China, Australia, it's the same certification an Australian person will get. It's the same certification a person in Lagos will get. It's the same certification that somebody in US will get. So that's the beauty of such. That's why we are always promoting those global ones. I hope that clarifies to you and to anyone that may have such a question in mind. So both of them are needed, certification and this course. But first of all, as you are going into this course, then once you are mastering this course, from this course, we will recommend some to you as you are going on. It could be on risk alone. You know, don't forget there are 3 aspects: governance, risk, compliance. It depends. You could have your area in any of those. You could dig deeper. And you could do C risk. C risk is more or less, as the name implies, risk. So that you have jobs that are like risk analyst, risk officer, risk manager. So things like that. Okay. Thank you very much for that question, brilliant questions. And thank you for your comments on the in-chats. The training is practical based and we involve live projects. Someone says the date for the next cohort. Please get in touch with Iyanu for operational dynamics, anything about the date the course is starting.
Class starts February 22. Class starts February 22nd.
Okay, course starts February 22nd. And regarding cost,
the time is Saturday and Sunday by 5 p.m.
Saturday, Sunday, 5 p.m. And course starts on the 22nd. And get in touch with Yano regarding cost of the program. So I think those are great. Thank you for clarification. Does GRC training involve doing live projects? Yes, you'll be working with practical aspects and then projects that will help you to master the game. What's the cost of the internship and training and the start date, please? Yes, we have what we call the work experience program, whereby if you finish this type of program now, this training, you want to come into the work experience. The work experience is to ensure that you are acting out the role you have trained for. For instance, if you train in Hills and Tech for a business analyst role, you will come into that work experience as a business analyst on a project, on a live project. If you train as a project manager, you will now come into the work experience and act out the role as a project manager. So, and if you come in as GRC analyst, then you will work with the organization as a GRC analyst so that we can give you work reference and then a proof that you have actually had experience doing it as an intern. Okay. SSS with the GRC is entire program helped me further niche down. I got the CC by I Square and found that I'm interested in GRC. Yes, fantastic. Now I'm hearing that there are still smaller parts to it. There are still smaller parts to it. Will I figure out that during the program or when I get to the GRC? When you get into the GRC, as you get into it, you will see your area of interest. It's the same thing that some people go into cybersecurity. They now realize that I don't have a flair for technical things. I have flair for soft skill. And the soft skill is hugely important. So if it is a soft skill aspect you love, GRC is your baby. You have area of cybersecurity in it, but not technical aspects. You just is to be like the person that is checking to ensure that even the person that is the cybersecurity person in the organization, is he or she doing his work as should be? The person that is the project manager, is he or she doing his work as should be? The person who is the gateman, is he or she doing the work as should be? That is your responsibility. Because there are some armed robbery that is not due to absence of not having police around or not having security around, but it could be a lapse that a security man did not do what he should do. So little lapses, you as a GRC expert under compliance, you want to know, is this being followed? Is this being followed? If this is not being followed, it can lead to a collapse of the organization, something like that. Okay, great. Thank you very much, everyone. I think just dropping the information here for anyone who needs it. The class starts on 22nd February and hold on Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. for 12 weeks. Thank you very much, Aisha. That's, for instance, what Aisha has done now. Is displaying the role of a Scrum Master, somebody who is helping the team to ensure effectiveness, something like that. Does business analyst and GRC go in hand in hand when it comes to, yes, any of those things? They are, when you are talking of product team, every role come together, there's a fusion. They work together. So if you are a business analyst, for instance, one of the coaches, for instance, was a business analyst before. You cannot be a business analyst. You cannot be a GRC business analyst. That is, when they are working, they are implementing things in some organization. They need somebody who is a business analyst, but that has GRC knowledge. Just like we told us earlier, when there's a job that says we need a project manager that is having nursing background, the same thing. So if you are a GRC person and you're a business analyst, they go hand in hand, because there will be organizations that need a business analyst that has awareness of data security in the background. Do you understand the point now? So they won't just give any person because you are a business analyst. They won't just give anybody that role, but they will give a business analyst that has a GRC background. Okay. Because we introduce relevant framework that are used exactly. You have the relevant framework or GDPR, as all the regulations. You have all the regulatory NIST, everything that the various frameworks and various regulatory frameworks all over the world that you need to know. Okay.
There's a question from Philip. I am a regulatory compliance review officer, and so how can GRC help transform my career? So you're already in one of the strands. Let me just reiterate, what GRC is. We said governance, risk, compliance. There's 3 arms to it. What a GRC analyst or a GRC professional is someone who understands these 3 arms of a business operation, understanding how they interrelate and how these 3 areas support the organization in protecting itself and carrying out its functions diligently and responsibly. So if you're already in compliance, then you know what is required in compliance. But your career can be advanced or transformed when you start to understand how it interplays with the governance structure and the regulatory structure or the risk structure. So all three become a big piece of knowledge for you. Then we're going to learn about the frameworks, and the framework is going to help you to understand that interdependence and how these things interplay. We'll learn about the frameworks that that GRC depends on. And basically what it's going to do is going to expand your awareness, it's going to expand your knowledge, it's going to expand your expertise. So we're going to come here and learn about three very key structures of an organization: the governance side of it, the risk side of it, and the compliance side of it. That's what it is, really. So when people think, oh, how can I get into GRC, or what, I'm already in data protection, I'm already in compliance, I've done some cybersecurity. All of these things are smaller disciplines within the bigger structure. And what we're going to do is to understand that big structure and why we depend on each other. The GRC analyst knows that, okay, the governance people need the security guys to be doing their bit. We all need the compliance man to also do his bit. You in the middle, you understand all these three things and you can interdependently work them. So that's
Thank you very, very much, guys. We don't want to take your whole day. Dr. Nadozie, Olusegun, our chief, we want to say thank you very much, everyone that's stick out their time even to do this with us today. Yanu, thank you very much for the organization of all this, putting it together. And
thanks so much, Sam.
Yeah, want to say we appreciate you all. So please, any other question regarding logistics, please get in touch with Yanu in H&T. We would be kicking off on the 22nd, and please, it's important, like I've said, it's very, very practical, and you would enjoy yourself with it, and the skills you will get will help you. Like I said previously, and the coaches have said, you can work across any industry: banking, healthcare, manufacturing, commerce, anything you're talking about. GRC cuts across. Okay, thank you very much. I don't know, Yanu, if you have any closing remarks, and then we can close. Thank you, coaches. Please, you can drop your comments. You can appreciate the coaches for what they've done, the facilitators for today. Before we go, just appreciate them on the chat while Yanu gives us the closing remark and we go home. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. Thank you, Dr. Dozier. Thank you so much, Mr. Shegun. I mean, this was a totally awesome session. I didn't even know it was going to go this far, but thank you so much. And for everyone who joined, for everyone who dropped off, for everyone who waited till the end, thank you so much. The class is going to start February 22nd. It holds Saturdays and Sundays by 5 to 7, and the fee is 300,000 naira. So, should in case you want to register, you can send us a DM on Instagram, or I type our number here so that you can reach out to us: 0915-273-2008. 0915-273-2008. That is a way to reach us on WhatsApp, or you just send us a DM. So
Sorry,
thank you so
please
much,
mute
everyone.
yourself. Somebody mute yourself.
Thank you so much for joining. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Coach, please, you kindly make me the host so that I can end the meeting and stop the recording. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, who was speaking?
Yanu.
Use and text, sir.
See the
Use
and
text.
text.
Yes, sir.
Right, I'll make you host in a minute.
No, you have not made. You are still the host.
Yeah.
You are still the host. Make otherwise you can close from your end. You can just end the webinar from your end.
Are you the host now?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone. Thank you, coaches.
Bye. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.